Hello everyone, welcome to a little vlog which is a little different. This one is more of a, a special one. Because today is the 4th of May, 2016 of course. And 4th of May is always Remembrance Day in Holland. So on this day we think of and have a moment of silence for everybody who can't be free in the world, and also especially for war victims everywhere in the world. But of course, well, this day was set up for the Second World War. And at 8 o'clock exactly, which is in exactly 12 hours, there will be in the whole of the Holland a 2-minute silence, especially for them. So I'm sitting here next to the Second World Monument in my hometown. Let me just show you there. And that is a propeller of a short Sterling, the K420, which was crash landed here in 1942. And the crew mostly died except for the pilot, who was captured by the Germans. And this propeller, well, after the recovery of the craft, the propeller apparently was left behind. And that one was, well, picked up and put here as a monument. So, but I'm not really thinking about the Second World War casualties and victims, but I'm more thinking about what happened at the other side of the world, in Indonesia. Because there, well, stuff went really bad. So what happens? Well, nobody knows exactly what happened there. A lot of people who have survived their time there don't want to talk about it because, well, stuff is just too harsh. You may have heard a lot of what happens here in Europe, in the Jew camps or the German camps, the concentration camps, but apparently the ones in Indonesia were, well, harder. So, yeah. So I can go into some of the details, but I'm not going to, because nothing is certain. And if you want to know more about it, I recommend you search it up yourself, because, well, a few of the statements have been released. So why am I telling all this? Well, one side of my family lived in Indonesia, on the island of Java. And most of them are survivors from the island of Bandung, except for my great-grandfather. My great-grandfather was a prisoner of war. The rest of my family were civilian prisoners. So he was a prisoner of war from the Dutch Royal Navy. And on the 15th of September 1944, he was rounded up and transported to Jakarta to go to work at a railway which was being constructed between Pekanbaru and Maru in Sumatra. Which is a pretty long journey, but they were going there by boat, by one big ship. That ship, called the Junyo Maru, had a total crew of 100 Japanese soldiers, and a total amount of passengers of about 6,500 passengers, 6,500 people. And on the ship itself was not enough supplies for most of the crew. Or actually, there was enough supplies for the crew, for the Japanese crew, but none really for the prisoners itself. Most of them didn't really have a good meal or something while they were on board. So they sent off on the 16th of September in a northwest direction. They were going up between Sumatra and Java and going up alongside the west coast of Sumatra. It were very hot days there. It is nice and sunny here, but well, think about 40 degrees sun, and then the next day rain, very cold, and after that more sun and more heat. But that was not even the bad part, not even close, because 2 days later, on Monday the 18th in the afternoon, 2 explosions could be heard on the ship, which, well, created an enormous panic. A lot of people jumped off board. It didn't really care for them if they could swim, yes or no. But a lot of people jumped off board. The Japanese soldiers tried to calm everyone down by saying that the engine There was some problems with the engine and there was an explosion there, but nothing worse. But not even 20 minutes later, the ship sank. And in that time, about 5,600 people died. It's one of the biggest disasters ever in the shipbuilding history. Which actually goes almost unreported, because if you search on the internet for the biggest ship disasters, the biggest one I could find was 4,600 people, and that was in 1986. So yeah, this disaster is actually going mostly unreported. That's why I'm actually making this video. But my grandfather actually survived the initial sinking of the ship. He actually was able to swim to shore, a total of 15 kilometers. So he didn't eat or drink decently in about 2 days, and still he got to shore. But sadly enough, he died of the injuries not soon after he arrived there. In total, it's estimated that about 875 people survived the crash, for the sinking of the ship, and still got to their destination in Padang, where they worked on the railroad. So, what really happened? Well, those two explosions were torpedo hits from the submarine HMS Tradewind, which was on patrol with the solo mission of destroying Japanese trade and cargo ships around Indonesia. So after she launched 4 torpedoes to the Junyo Maru, she got back safely out of there and got back to her patrol not soon after. But still, how could this happen? There are rules of engagement, special rules of engagement in case of prison ships. So still, how? Wasn't there anything they could do or would have done? Well, yeah, there were rules. According to the Convention of Geneva, in these kinds of situations, when you're transporting prisoners or otherwise, it is stated that you need a very big red cross on the side of the ship, so other ships can see you are transporting people, and so you will be left alone. But the problem was, the Junyo Maru only had the Japanese flag and no red cross.